The first ever video that I made for this channel was something, right? It was complete garbage, honestly, like, don't watch it. However, for its time, the techniques that I used to make those models were still kind of rare and advanced enough to be noteworthy, again, at the time. But I've had many requests and suggestions to remake this original model, so that's what I will be doing here. It seems only fitting to try and kinda close this chapter before Face Customizer comes out, which ought to be real soon, by the way. The original model was made when double modeling had just come out for Heroforge. There was this trend at the time of making characters behind one another as a kind of before and after, so although this is two models on the same base, the two models are actually technically of the same character. Specifically, this model is labeled Fallen Hero because it's kind of a typical cliché trope of a righteous hero turned warrior of evil type shtick. Now, both because this is a pretty standard fantasy warrior, but also because I can't double model stack, it's going to be fairly simple in nature, which in itself kind of becomes challenging, because then it means that I have to work within fairly limited parameters and somehow still make it look cool and unique, which, you know. Anyway, yes, let's get on with it. So, one of the most challenging things for me is being able to just use these basic normal clothes and armor combinations without double model layering and somehow still feel happy with it. There just aren't enough options in my opinion, like especially not realistic looking ones. But on the bright side, one of the things that I can do now that I was absolutely dogshit at back then when I first made that video is horn hair, so you know, at least we can personalize them a little bit with that. I also played around a lot with different poses for the evil version of this character. Like, I kind of wanted it to look kind of calm and resigned at first, a bit like those, you know, like depressed Darth Vader posters, and that's why you see me lowering the clavicles and having him kind of slump his chin down, but eventually I just ended up settling on a slightly more antagonistic stance than the heroic version. When it comes to colors, this character is technically from my own world building, of which I've made various builds before, chiefly the Crusader Kingdom / Necromancer cult builds. Yeah, you could probably see where this is going. So anyway, the color schemes of both of these models will therefore align with those two. The heroic version will have a lot of bright steel golden trims, blue, yellow and red heraldry, and then of course the evil one will be gritty, dark, worn down variations of those colors. Like I said, I kind of had to debate a bit with myself here on whether or not I wanted him to have the same clothing or just worn down and gritty versions of it, or if I was going to switch it out altogether. So I tried with the former first, but trying to mix this new evil looking chest piece with the fancy Imperial armor from the heroic version just didn't look right, so I mean, you'll see. This is when we get to extra arms. You can use them for a lot of things in models like this. Like for starters, I'm stacking gloves and using them to get rid of the ugly arm squish that I brought up in the last video, but more than that, I'm also using them to stack multiple weapons to create this kind of cool, nice looking like Aragorn sword combo. Finally, I will be using the last pair of extra hands to add some additional cloth detail to this awesome red tabard that he's wearing. By now, as soon as the evil version is colored, you could kind of say that it's starting to look finished, right? However, when it comes to characters with my own world building, I tend to be very picky about appearances, and in this case I just felt like the evil version of the armor looked way too bulky and far away from the original heroic version. So you'll start seeing me change around a lot of pieces now to try and make him look just a little bit more grounded, you know? using decal kit bashing, I also tried to experiment with some kind of enchanted sword here, but like, I'll be honest, it doesn't look right to make runes without some kind of 3D effect. So instead I just went for a very subtle looking magical shiny line on the inside of the sword, purple and dark for the evil version, and then shiny and fiery on the heroic one. All in all, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I mean, the obvious elephant in the room is that, yeah, like, I could have just made both of these double models on 2 separate bases and gotten a lot more detail in, but I feel like that would kind of somewhat take away from the entire point of the remake. Besides, there's also something special about, you know, just doing single models every once in a while. Anyway, links will be in the description below if you want either of these models, and thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, then please press like, and if you didn't, then by all means press dislike, and see you next time. Goodbye!